Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Getting to the second weekend is no comparison. Able to now have a shot to go to Indianapolis and get to the Final Four.
We're going to present some challenges to our pitching staff as well. They're very aggressive on the bases. They've stolen 38 bags. Two of the kids have over in double-digit stolen bases. So we're going to be at the top of the ring from a pitching standpoint.
It's not scripted and it's not a certain specific situation. You're just playing the game. You find out quickly who's kind of getting it and who's not quite there yet.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome into Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. Very big night here on the program. Of course, as you heard, we've got the Sweet 16, the men cranking up tonight. We've got football. That was Dabo Sweeney. USC practicing today. We'll hear from them coming up. We've got baseball coming up tomorrow. USC, Georgia, Clemson, Wake Forest. But capping all that is an announcement just a moment or two ago by Rashawn Smith, the highly touted linebacker from Baltimore who goes to IMG Academy in Florida, and he announced a commitment to Clemson just about 60 seconds ago. They did this via ESPN. The quality was awful. They had him on location somewhere in Baltimore, Skyping into their location wherever they are. You would think ESPN, with all their money and all their people and with their all the work they do streaming stuff, could have figured it out. But anyway, that's a secondary story. You couldn't understand a word that he was saying.
But you saw him put on the hat.
Yeah, he tried to throw everybody off. He did an interview with one of the Rivals guys yesterday and said he'd have 4 hats on the table, none of which would be Clemson. It had been thought Clemson was his favorite. And so that's, that put a little bit of a question mark, but I think most people saw through that. Those who follow recruiting saw through that and realized he was just playing the game. And, the reporter has to report what the guy says, even though he might know better. Kid says, hey, these are the 4 hats I'm going to have on there and da-da-da-da. So it's a big pickup for Clemson, highly recruited, highly touted linebacker from Baltimore, goes to IMG Academy. The Tigers already have a commitment from his teammate, TJ Chase, the wide receiver. Third member of that team, Savion Smith, has committed to LSU. Of course, now let the behind-the-scenes games begin, as it's a long way, of course, to February signing day, or in case these guys decide to enroll early, it's a long way to December. But, there's going to be a lot of, hey, come play with me at LSU. Hey, come play with me at Clemson. A lot of back and forth between the teammates.
Well, you shouldn't be – you should put this one in the books. I mean, since – he's committed to Clemson, that means he's taking no more visits. Or is he that good that the rule doesn't apply?
Well, I mean, they will tell you there's no rule, no hard and fast rule.
Okay.
But I would say in this particular case, if he wanted to take a visit somewhere else, he probably could and retain his offer from Clemson. But anyway, big pickup for Clemson. Their 2016 class has landed another highly touted recruit in Rashawn Smith with 2 H's out of Baltimore. We'll be back to preview tonight in a moment. Once again, Clemson lands a big-time football commitment just a little while ago. Rashawn Smith from Baltimore. And give you some of the particulars on him. He is, size-wise, 6'3", 230, made 53 tackles last year, camped at Clemson last summer, went to a game last season, was at their junior day as well back in January. Over 40 offers for him, and South Carolina was also among his offers. And after making a couple of visits to Clemson, Tigers were in strong shape with him, said he loved Clemson after the visits there. And he said when he went there, it was everything that he thought it would be. Some of the other offers, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, all the big boys across the country. So this gives Clemson 9 commitments for their 2016 class, well over halfway to filling that class at this particular time based on their current numbers. They have tight end J.C. Chalk, quarterback Zarek Cooper, offensive lineman Sean Pollard. Now I'm counting defensive back Amir Trapp with this class because he's a gray shirt guy. He actually could maybe count on 2015, but I always keep them with the group that they come in with. Wide receiver T.J. Chase, running back Tavian Feaster, receiver Cornell Powell, linebacker James Skowski, and linebacker Rashawn Smith, Rahshaun.
So is this an inside linebacker, or does he grow into a Vic Beasley hybrid of defensive end outside linebacker?
Plays fast, long and rangy, long arms, can play all linebacker spots.
Sounds like Vic Beasley to me.
In some ways, like Clowney as a defensive end, but could end up at linebacker. I've actually been calling him a linebacker. I have him listed here on my prospect sheet actually as a defensive end.
The reason I
People
say
call
that
him
is because
linebacker, though.
If he's 236 already,
230,
you just by age, he's going to put on a little bit more weight. So I'm thinking he's going to grow into a hybrid outside linebacker defensive end probably.
We'll try and ring him up on the program tonight, but we are so jammed. We've got coverage of USC football practice, which is just wrapping up. I see from our man out there, Dalton Abel, we've got some Steve Spurrier. So we'll get to that shortly. We've got David Williams and we've got Pharaoh Cooper. So Spurrier came over and talked again tonight. Well, he's been very talkative of late. So we'll have that for you coming up shortly. We've got baseball previews, Chad Holbrook, Jack Leggett coming up tonight as well. Also, we will visit tonight with the mayor of Myrtle Beach, John Rhodes. He's also the director of the Carolinas All-Star Classic. Activities there are getting underway. I believe the practices started today. We've got competition tomorrow night at Myrtle Beach High School. We'll be there for that. Skills test, three-point shooting contest, etc. Then the games on Saturday night at Socastee High School beginning at 6:30, the girls' game followed by the boys' game. So a very busy agenda for you tonight here on Sports Talk. You can become a part of it. 800-956-7266. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com and on Twitter @SportsTalkSC. As you can tell, the empty chair came at Kevin McCrary. He's not with us tonight. Through his bargaining through his agent, we have to give him a night off once a week. It's something that was written into his contract. So he is out tonight. Couple of quick notes, and we'll get to your phone calls. Of course, the Sweet 16 on the men's side begins tonight, so we look forward to that. How about this story? Dean Smith, who died February 7th, in his will, he bequeathed $200 to each of his former players from his trust. The coach wanted the players to, quote, enjoy a dinner out, compliments of Coach Dean Smith, end quote, according to the letter he sent each player along with the check. This comes to about $36,000 that Smith bequeathed to his former players. Any player that lettered while playing for Dean Smith is getting one of these. I watched last night on Showtime the documentary on Dean Smith. And, I know we here in South Carolina, if you are all the Gamecocks, you follow the Tigers. and you grew up, well, of course, Clemson fans are still in ACC land. You're a South Carolina fan. You were in ACC land, and you were battling Dean Smith all those years. You don't have fond feelings for Dean Smith. You always felt like he got his way. You always felt like everything was in his favor, et cetera. So maybe yes, maybe no. The documentary was extremely interesting. If you get a chance to see it on Showtime, you should. They're doing a lot of great stuff on Showtime in sports with these documentaries. And, of course, interviewed coaches, players, Krzyzewski, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the thing that strikes me, though, and I think what sets a coach like Dean Smith apart, and there are very few of these that we know about. Now, there may be a lot more out there on the lower level that don't get the publicity.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about at the highest level, very few. And what sets him apart, not all the victories, not the championships, but the fact that over the decades, the hundreds of players that he coached to his last day still thought of him as their coach.
Coach Smith.
And the family atmosphere that he built, but that relationship individually with the players. See, to me, if you are a coach, and I'm sure we have coaches listening to us right now, high school coaches, maybe little league coaches, maybe some college coaches who listen. But to me, that more than anything else defines you as a coach, not your win-loss record. That looks good on your resume, but what really defines you as a coach is, do your players come back to you in a time of need? Do they seek you out when they come home? Do they always think of you as a part of their family and as their coach? And I think you can probably count on one hand the big-time coaches that fall into that category. Obviously, Smith, Vince Lombardi would fall into that category. I think the players that played for him, based on comments from those players over the years, certainly always and forever viewed Vince Lombardi as their coach. Krzyzewski might fall into that category. Maybe,
no doubt.
Maybe Bobby Knight would fall into that category if you were to
Isaiah
talk to
Thomas
his players.
Still talks to him.
I don't know. And I'm sure there may be others, but those come to my mind. Maybe you've got some other suggestions. But if you are a North Carolina fan, if you have seen that documentary, share your thoughts with us about that, because it is obviously it's emotional. It's very moving. The way they took you from the beginning of his days at North Carolina through his career, through his death, and also included, he was a very politically active person in retirement, working against the death penalty in North Carolina, and talked about that as well. So very good stuff on Dean Smith.
It's Dean Smith had a lot of power. I think a lot of guys actually made it in the NBA because of him. Because I saw some North Carolina players that were marginal, but at least stayed in 5 or 6 years in the NBA because of this. And Roy Williams being assistant coach, there is no way in the world Kansas hires an assistant coach. But Dean gave his vote of approval to Roy Williams, and Kansas, for the first time in eons, hired an assistant coach to run their program. Of course, Dean Smith, a lot of people really still don't know the history of Dean Smith. He's a Kansas guy.
Sure.
He's a Kansas guy.
He played for Fog Allen.
Right, and he gravitated to North Carolina. But Phil, the one thing I like about the Dean Smith story is this. He came at a time when people liked consistency, consistent, excellent basketball. Not many people you hear who are North Carolina fans would just badger him, but he only won 2 championships. He only won 2 of this. No, they didn't do that because they saw the consistency of his program. But then back then, maybe people thought that the ACC championship was better than the NCAA. But you never heard that about them complaining about Smith saying he only won this many.
All right, 800-956-7266. We'll be right back.
Dexter Wideman missed practice today, and he's going to miss again tomorrow because he did miss class this time. No excuses. Dexter, if he misses another one, he's not going to suit up the first game. So Dexter needs to get his tail in class, and he's
All right, we'll get the calls in just a little bit. Hang in there with us, but we got Spurrier just off the practice field. He's not happy. He is not happy. He begins his comments by expressing his unhappiness with the player. Here we go.
Dexter Wideman missed practice today, and he's going to miss again tomorrow because he did miss class this time. No excuses. Dexter, if he misses another one, he's not going to suit up the first game. So Dexter needs to get his tail in class, and he's got no excuses this time. Okay, just want to get that clear. That's why he's not out here. All right, anything else?
Running backs look okay.
Hey, looking all right. Yeah, they're doing okay. Look good, man. They're disguising, running around. Look pretty good. Doing some different stuff, and we seem to be a little quicker and faster than we were last year. So that's helpful.
What about the quarterback rotation for the scrimmage on Saturday? All equal snaps, or
no, not equal,
No.
but. Nosovich is obviously our running guy with, a little passing here and there. And the other three, they can run a little bit, but they're more passers.
Good job, Dixon.
So, Gerald got kicked in the shin and went down the other day.
Tuesday. Saw him go down Tuesday. Is he out for the spring? Is that
No, he should be okay. He just got kicked in the shin, so he's out a day or two right now. He should be fine. All right, anything else? Nice cloudy day today. Dan Alvis is doing well over there. Right.
Coach, what do you think of Debo so far?
Debo's doing all right. Debo is a freshman. Needs to learn how to play fast, play every play full speed, catch the ball as if he's in a game. He's got a ways to go, and that's typical of freshmen. They don't just naturally come in. Some of them do, some of them don't. But he's talented. Debo's got a lot of ability and talent, so he should be fine.
Junior said he sees some of Bruce Ellington in that. Do you agree with that?
Maybe a little bit. He can catch and run with it. Yeah.
You'll have a lot of offensive linemen out.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Are they able to protect the quarterbacks at all?
Yeah, we had 7 linemen out here today. So spring game, they're going to play a lot. We'll do our spring game like always. Offensive guys will be in garnet, defense, I guess, in white.
Yeah.
And we'll switch up the quarterbacks, so we'll have a garnet and black game.
Have they been able to give your quarterback some time?
A little bit. Not too bad. Yeah.
Better than you thought, or about what you thought?
No. Our guys, for whatever reason, they rushed us in practice last year all the time. I said, how come you rush us in practice and in the games we weren't very good rushing the other guy? I don't know why. But, that's just the way it was. All right, man.
Go watch the game tomorrow night?
Y'all going to stay awake for that 9:45 tonight? Kentucky, West Virginia?
Absolutely,
Huh?
Do we have the can you quickly get me my favorite Spurrier comment here before we hit the break? Oh, you can't. All right, we'll save it for a little bit later on. All right, Steve Spurrier from practice. Dexter Walton. Son, you're on warning now. You're on alert. Any more mess up, you're going to lose game time now. No excuse for that, being a new kid in school. Yeah, you got to get your butt into class. I mean, you're not setting a very good example for yourself in front of the eyes of the world. Back in a moment. Okay, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Good to have you with us. Phil Kornblut, Professor Tom Hayes, the Steak Man, Graham Pope, all at your disposal tonight. Phone number 800-956-7266. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Going to get to your calls in a moment. Got recruiting coming up a little bit later on. If you're just joining us, Clemson got a commitment a little while ago from defensive end Rashawn Smith from Baltimore, attends IMG Academy. More on him coming up. We'll also update South Carolina and the big man there recruiting, 7-foot Connor Clifford. He's not really a defensive guy. He's an offensive guy, a very skilled offensive center, his coach was telling me today. We'll tell you more about him. Also in football, we will update some other prospects around the state. South Carolina's got a junior day coming up, and they've got some of their top targets coming in, including wide receiver Brian Edwards from Conway, who could do something on Saturday, may or may not, depends on how everything goes for him on the visit. Now, tonight in the Sweet 16, we have got Wichita State and Notre Dame in Cleveland, along with Kentucky and West Virginia. And in Los Angeles, we've got North Carolina, Wisconsin, and Arizona Xavier. That's tonight. And tomorrow in Syracuse, Louisville and NC State, and Michigan State, Oklahoma. And you also have Duke and Utah in Houston, along with UCLA and Gonzaga. So we're ready for the Sweet 16. And, of course, the women's Sweet 16 tomorrow night, South Carolina and North Carolina. Just thinking about this, South Carolina women on Sunday night have a chance to be a South Carolina basketball team to cut down the nets in the Greensboro Coliseum, the first
since Kevin Joyce tap.
Kevin Joyce tap and Tom Owens layup in 1971. Yeah, so we'll see if they can get it done. All right, to the phones we go here for a little bit. John in Hilton Head, welcome into Sports Talk tonight. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Phil, I was a non-scholarship member of the freshman team at North Carolina. This was Coach Smith's second year as head coach there. And I appreciate your comments earlier, yours and Pro's. The thing about Coach Smith is he treated everybody that he came into contact with a great deal of respect. And that was obvious to you if you were around in the NER or had any contact at all with him. For instance, after that freshman year I was there, my sophomore year I was a team manager. I was not the senior team manager. I was down at the end of the bench again. That part. He treated managers just like he treated the players. I mean, we weren't players. He didn't treat us like we were players in the sense of going into a game and playing. But he treated you with the utmost respect, the same level of respect that he treated Michael Jordan or Billy Cunningham in this situation, and Larry Brown was there too. So I think that's what he stands out so much in my memory about.
Now you said you were a team manager. Now see, if you had stayed with the team, you'd have gotten a check this week.
Did you hear about that?
What was that now?
Did you hear about what Coach Smith did in his will for his former players?
Yeah, I heard you talk about that.
Yeah. Well, I think I think what Dean Smith did at North Carolina and the way he ran his program and the way he dealt with his players was very genuine. I think all the things he did to take the spotlight off of him and put it on his players, and also to take the spotlight off of any young star and keep the spotlight on the older players, in particular the seniors. I think that was all very genuine on his part, and it's something that he did from day one to day end at North Carolina. And like you said, Michael Jordan, when he was a freshman, and this was part of the documentary, Michael Jordan said, look, when I was a freshman, I came in all hotty-totty and high and mighty, and they did not put Michael Jordan. Let's see, what was the story?
Didn't put him on a
Sports Illustrated.
He did, right?
Sports Illustrated.
Exactly.
Cover,
did not put him on Sports Illustrated cover for the preseason basketball that year. But he was in the starting lineup. But he also, as he said, after every road game, had to carry the projector. That was his task. Every freshman had to carry something, whether it was the ball bag or something equipment-wise, and his thing was carrying the projector. So, I think he was really and it was a but I like what Mike Krzyzewski said. Mike Krzyzewski said there were a lot of coaches of that time and when he was coming along, and they wanted to emulate what Dean Smith did, and they wanted to do some of the same things, wanted his players doing some of the same things. And he said, no, I wanted the direct opposite. I did not want to copy North Carolina, except in terms of success, and I wanted to do it our way at Duke. And that's how he approached it. But a lot of coaches wanted to try to do some of the same things that they did at North Carolina, like the players standing up every time a reserve went in and a player came off the court. Every player had to stand up and applaud the player coming off. Or, of course, the pointing after an assist, pointing to the guy that got you the assist, or the fact that only seniors appeared on the cover of the media guide. Things of that nature, very unique and special to the North Carolina basketball program.
Yeah. That was Dean Smith.
Yep. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate the phone call.
Well, see, that
and again, if you get a chance, if you have Showtime, or you got somebody who's got Showtime, you can see it. You need to go watch that documentary on Dean Smith.
That comes from longevity. Now, too many programs change coaches like they change underwear. I mean, if they don't get it done in 3 or 4 years, you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
If this was, I guess, if John Wooden would have been.
Oh yeah, how could we forget? That would be another. Yeah, he would be another one right there with Dean Smith in terms of the long-lasting implications with his players, and players who, to the very end of his life, went back to him and considered him coach. And obviously John Wooden. That's a terrible oversight on my part.
Yeah, of course, he came from the bastion of basketball, high school and college level of the state of Indiana. In fact, he played at Purdue. But the thing is, if he came in today and went to UCLA, he'd be another Anthony Grant. Oh, he was a good coach, but he didn't get it done because it took him 8 years to win his first Pac-8 title at UCLA. You don't get that chance anymore.
Yeah, it took him 21 years to win his first national championship.
Exactly.
So you're right. You don't get that kind of opportunity. And I was thinking about this too, not to take anything away from what they accomplished, but think about this. In both, how many national championships did Smith win? Did he win?
He won 2.
He won 2, yeah. And in both cases, now they played the game and did what they had to do to win it. Of course, Michael Jordan hit the shot for the first one, but remember, it was Freddie Brown passing the ball to was it Worthy?
It was Worthy.
Yeah. So it took a mistake there to seal the championship. And of course, we remember
the timeout,
the Chris Webber mistake to seal the championship. I'm not taking anything away from them. I mean, they earned it, but they were also fortunate in both of those championship games to take advantage of a huge mistake by the opponent.
And let's face it, part of Dean Smith's problem was the fact he came when he bumped heads with Wooden a couple of times and lost a couple of times. They were in the Final Four all the time, but they were running into UCLA. They ran into to Indiana one time. I can't think of all the different teams they lost to in the Final Four over the years. That's the only time I thought they should have been the favorite and lost, because I didn't think one man could defy Dean Smith. But Isaiah Thomas, that game, they couldn't stop him. They could not stop him. I thought Dean would figure out a defense.
They were in the Final Four. If I'm not mistaken, the year that UCLA and Houston played that mega game in the Astrodome. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that year in the Final Four, North Carolina lost to UCLA. I think Houston, North Carolina, and UCLA were 3/4 of the Final Four that year, if I'm not mistaken. Be right back.
Just, coming out here before practice, not really before practice. Come out here, running routes, learning some more plays that we install, just doing a lot of individual work.
After such a good year last year, what are you trying to improve on?
I understood the playbook, but now I'm understanding where the line. When I see defenses, I'm under Saturday to separate myself. Saturday, so separate Saturday. I understood the playbook, but now I'm understanding where the line. When I see defenses, I'm understanding where the linemen going to block their person and.
Just, coming out here. Just
So much to do, so little time to get it all done. We'll find a way here on Sports Talk tonight. More from USC spring football. The Gamecocks have come off the practice field. By the way, their spring game will be on SEC Network Plus. Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah.
What is that?
I think that's an internet thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, in fact, all the spring games, I was surprised about this. The SEC put out a release today. It looked like all the spring games you're doing will be on SEC Network Plus. So you can either go to the stadium and watch it live or watch it that way.
They got two stations. They got the auxiliary station in case a game bleeds over and they start the next game. So use both.
Probably
stations.
Got baseball going on that day. Back to USC spring practice, though. A couple of offensive players, key offensive players, came over to talk with the media. Pharaoh Cooper, maybe the biggest key of all the key players on the offensive side outside of quarterback Connor Mitch. And he talks about spring practice to this point for him and the offense and picking things up from last year and keeping them going.
Just, coming out here before practice, not really before practice, coming out here running routes, learning some more plays that we install, just doing a lot of individual work.
Such a good year last year. What are you trying to improve on?
Everything, route running, the whole play, knowing the defensive coverages, pretty much my whole game, so I can up my game this year.
Big sophomore season last year. What's different coming into the spring this year?
Just knowing that pretty much be keying on me, so I got to get better, work on my individual game, as long as helping others on the team as well.
Have you embraced more of a leadership role with such a young wide receiving corps this year?
Oh, yeah. I've been walking around helping out the young guys, helping them get lined up and telling them what to do as far as the plays and whatnot.
Is it different, though, not having, being the veteran all of a sudden, not having Nick and Demir and all those guys around?
Yeah, it's kind of different. This spring I'm kind of, going through a lot of routes. I'm not getting a lot of reps, here and there. But, it's good for the young guys to get a lot of reps. I know the whole playbook and everything. I got experience from last year. The other guys don't. So I'm just going to come out here and try and help them along with keep playing my game.
Is that a little odd for you to kind of not be late, maybe practicing as much as you normally would?
Oh, yeah, it is a little odd. I always practice. I like practicing. But this spring right here is for the other guys, to get some mental reps so they can learn the playbook for fall camp.
Do you have an idea yet how much Wildcat you might play this year, or you talk about that in the spring?
We haven't talked about anything yet.
Fair, forgive me if this has been asked, but how do you think Debo's done this spring, in a new position, but he seems to be a big part of this offense this season?
Oh, yeah, Debo, he'll be a big part of this offense this year. As right now, he's looking good. He's still one of the young guys. He played at Z last year, the inside, now he's back at the outside. But as right now, he's looking good. He's a big, fast, physical guy.
How much you expect to play on Saturday in scrimmage?
I don't expect to play too much. Not too much.
All right, the word to Pharaoh Cooper now to running back David Williams, of whom much will be expected this year. Now that Mike Davis is out of the way, he's got his chance to shine.
I understood the playbook, but now I'm understanding where the line. When I see defenses, I'm understanding where the lineman going to block their person and where the cut going to be.
Which means you don't have to be tentative at all.
Yeah, and I was playing just freestyling, basically playing off the instincts.
Right.
Dave, it seems that more and more teams use two running backs pretty much to keep the guys fresh. Is that a plus for you and Brandon?
Yeah, that's a plus for me and Brandon, because if Brandon break an 80-yard run, he can take a break and it's my turn and I could break an 80-yard run and we can wear the defense down like that.
With that in mind, does it really matter who's number one necessarily because you can both play?
Well, I think it matters to you. It's a personal goal that you would like to achieve, but like at the end of the day, we know we both gonna play a lot, so not really, I guess.
Okay. More through practice or a scrimmage? Especially in the spring.
Yeah, all around. Just, but I need to make more plays during the scrimmages we have on Saturday, so separate myself.
All right, David Williams, USC running back. Let's jump back to the phones very quickly. And George and Easley, you're up next here on Sports Talk. How are you?
Just fine. A couple things. On Coach Smith, a great coach, left a couple on the table, probably the 1984 game in which he pulled Jordan out with 2 fouls and huge mistake, and Indiana beat him. But he was a great coach and one of the best. My question is, guys, if the NCAA takes away some of these, hits them hard, that scandal up there goes back to his tenure. What if he lose some of those games? And also, it looks like Clemson has picked up 2 big recruits today. It looks like they're moving ahead of us. What do you guys think?
Who's the second one? You still with us, George?
Linebacker is Smith.
Yeah, that's one. And who was the other one?
What I think it was the other. Now, where was Smith from? I was thinking he was out of Florida.
Well, he goes to school in Florida, but he's from Baltimore.
Okay. That's the one I'm thinking about. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Just the one. And yeah, they're having another terrific recruiting class with this 8th commitment and all heavily recruited, highly touted prospects. All right, the top recruiting story, of course, linebacker Rashawn Smith, 6'3", 230 of Baltimore and IMG Academy in Florida, commits to Clemson tonight, 8th commitment for the Tigers. He also had Oklahoma, Maryland, Penn State, and Ohio State high up on his list. He tried to throw folks off in an interview yesterday by mentioning those schools as the ones who'd be represented on the table with their caps, and he said he hadn't talked much to Clemson leading up to his decision. Ha, 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 ha. And as he made his announcement today, he reached down underneath the table, I guess, into a bag, and he pulled out a Clemson cap and slapped it on his head. 53 tackles last season as a defensive end. He says, I play fast. I'm long and rangy, long arms. I play physical. Some ways I'm like Jadeveon Clowney, but could end up at linebacker. I can play all the linebacker spots. Conway receiver Brian Edwards has been to USC and Georgia. Those two tied at the top of his list right now. He is returning to USC Saturday for another junior day, and he hopes to have some clarity on a favorite by the time he leaves. He said it could go either way, really. He likes both schools. He's hoping to put some separation between them. He said a great experience likely would propel the Gamecocks to the front, and Edwards conceded a really great experience might lead to a commitment. He said, I wouldn't say it's not possible. I'll know it when it hits me. He also plans a return visit to Georgia. He said Tennessee is now showing him a lot of interest, and he would visit there if the Vols offer. Even if he commits Saturday, he will not shut down his recruiting. Basketball. USC has been recruiting 7-foot center Connor Clifford of Saddleback Junior College, California, since December, his coach told us today, and is one of two schools right now that will get an official visit. Clifford will visit Washington State this weekend, and he'll take an official visit with the Gamecocks at some point. This, according to his coach, Andy Ground. Gamecock coaches are to visit with Clifford on Monday in California. He averaged 14 and 6, and he was the California Junior College Player of the Year, according to his coach, who said he can really score it down in the block, a true five-man. Big body at 7 feet, 260, can really score it. He'd say he's extremely skilled, offensively very good, needs to improve on defense. Shot 62% from the floor, 71% from the line. He'll have 2 years to play too. And 2016 shooting guard Deronte Jenkins, the former Lake Marion star who now lives in the Orlando area, was offered by New Mexico yesterday. Of course, Clemson has been on him pretty strongly as well. There you go with recruiting. And don't forget to check out our recruiting on the website, sportstalksc.com. For those of you who live on Twitter, just use the hashtag STRecruiting, and that'll take you right to our stuff. Hashtag, or if you're old-fashioned, the old number sign on your keyboard. What's the name? Isn't there a name for that? Oh, pound, yeah. Thank you. Pound. ST Recruiting. But today they use the word hashtag for some reason. Okay, top of the hour break. We'll be back.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
We are back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from downtown Columbia Main Street. Sports Talk, your Sports Talk show of Main Street, South Carolina, every night 6 to 8 here on South Carolina Radio Network. We thank you for being with us. We thank all the affiliates across the state for being with us as well. We really do appreciate it, and we don't take it for granted whatsoever. All right, 800-956-7266, the number. If you want to jump on board here at some point in this hour, we're going to be talking in a little bit with John Rhodes, the mayor of Myrtle Beach, but more importantly than that, the director of the Carolinas All-Star Classic, which begins tomorrow night, actually, with the skills competition at Myrtle Beach High School and the boys and girls games at Sockasty High School on Saturday. So we'll always enjoy having the mayor on with us to kind of get a scene setter for that. Jack Leggett, Clemson baseball coach, at the bottom of the hour. We'll also hear in this hour from USC's Chad Holbrook, who previewed the series against Georgia. Georgia coming off a weekend in which they swept Tennessee on the road. So back-to-back road trips for Georgia in the SEC. USC scuffling a little bit right now. No major changes, Holbrook said. Just got to play a little bit better and win some of the close games that they have been in of late. They have lost.
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking when we were listening to Pharaoh Cooper, of course, many people remember he came in as a tremendous athlete on both sides of the ball, and ostensibly South Carolina had him listed as a corner. And then they decided early on, wait a minute, hold it, need him on offense. But that brings me back to, the death, I guess, last week of Chuck Bednarik, I guess, last major two-way player in the NFL. And I thought of a two-way player back in the early 80s with the St. Louis Cardinals in Roy Green. You remember him, Corn.
Sure.
Played wide receiver and cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
Had Pharaoh Cooper been born about 15 years earlier and been at South Carolina, he would be playing corner and wide receiver and wildcat quarterback at this point, because back then a two-way player, if you had a guy that was exceptionally talented, they made room for you on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And he's that kind of player. And he's a guy, now that he is, of course, settled in on the offensive side, they need to get the ball in his hands as much as possible, because he has proven, of course, that he is dynamite with the ball in his hand. I think that's exactly what Spurrier plans to do in this coming season, either in the Wildcat or in moving him in motion behind the line and pitching the ball to him, getting the ball in space down the field. He is a terrific – here's the thing now. You're a coordinator on the other side, and you see where South Carolina, outside of Pharaoh Cooper right now, they have no real established threats in the receiving game except for, I would say, Adams at tight end. But nobody else do you have any video on, really. How much do you double-team Pharaoh Cooper and make the offense go to one of those unproven receivers? Just kind of take him out of it by putting a couple of guys on.
That's why you move him around.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll be back. The mayor of Myrtle Beach coming up. One more recruiting note for you before we bring in the mayor of Myrtle Beach, John Rhodes. Jaron Cena, the transfer from Seton Hall, is going to visit South Carolina, and that visit's going to take place beginning tomorrow. So he's going to be in with the other guard they're bringing in, the Gregory kid, Jamal Gregory. This is from Adam Zagoria, who's a reporter up in New York City, college basketball, and he talked to Cena, who confirmed that he is coming down for an official visit to South Carolina beginning tomorrow. So we'll get more on that for you here coming up. But we welcome in the mayor of Myrtle Beach, but more importantly, at least for this weekend, he's the director of the Carolinas All-Star Classic, Mayor John Rhodes. Before we get to the basketball, I saw a news story today that Myrtle Beach is number 2 in the country in population explosion in the last few years. I credit that to people wanting to live in your benevolent dictatorship.
I don't know about dictatorship, but we really are going. We're booming as far as people moving in out of Market Common, where the old air base used to be, which is a urban city now. It's as fast as they can build a home, they're selling them. As fast as people up north can dig out of the snow, they're coming south.
Yeah,
they really like what we have to offer as far as taxation and not only in Myrtle Beach but in all of Overy County here. But then you've got the beach, you've got the golf courses, you've got a lot of nice amenities to come down and live and retire. So that growth factor, Phil, is basically the retired sector moving south.
You got that right. You're doing a great job, and you do a great job with the Carolina All-Star Classic, and that begins practice is underway, and then competition tomorrow night. So what about this year's group, boys and girls? How do you like the players that were selected who'll be in Myrtle Beach this weekend?
Well, we've got some nice players. I tell you, I'm really excited to really get a chance to see on Holmes play. From Chesney High School is going to upstate. Deion averaged 40 points a ball game, and he shot 53% from the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see him, and surprised that he did not get the offers from a little bit bigger school. But I know that South Carolina Upstate is on the rise, and they're doing very well, and they're making a name for themselves. So it probably is a very good selection for him. We've got 2 young men that are both going to Furman this year that have committed there, and that's Andrew Brown from Travelers Rest, and also right there from Greenville from Wade Hampton High School, Jelene Williams.
Mm-hmm.
So we got some nice young men that'll be playing, but also we got some nice young ladies that'll be playing for us too, and I'm excited about that. That's one of the things that a lot of people overlook is the quality of basketball that our ladies play. But if you can look and see what's happening at the University of South Carolina, then you're seeing several of the standout players for the Lady Gamecocks are in-state players, and that goes to show that the talent level is here. We just got to get out there and support them. But in the young ladies, Bill, we've got, of course, probably one of the top players is DeJoy Howard from Orangeburg Wilkinson, who is signed with Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of our own players from Orangeburg Wilkinson also, Jaquana Murray, who's signed with the University of South Carolina. So we've got 2 young ladies from Orangeburg Wilkinson, which has a very good high school girls basketball program. And you got 2 that are going to major Division I schools. That's exciting for the state of South Carolina and speaks highly of women's basketball here. So, we're looking forward to a really good event. And of course, North Carolina's got some strong players too. I mean, they got Luke May on the boys' side from Huff High School that's going to the University of North Carolina. They've got several young men that have already committed or have either already committed or signed. It's going to some nice schools. Like they've got the young man from Broughton High School in Raleigh, Jerome Robinson, who's going to Boston College. You've got a young man that's going to Cornell, Matt Morgan. So we've got some quality players here, and I think it's an opportunity to really see some of our players in the Carolina Showcase and look at them going head to head. Of course, hey, Phil, and I thank you for coming down and being a part of all that, because you know me, I'm all about high school basketball, and you know, we're really honored that Baseball Classic has had an opportunity to take this event and move forward with it.
Absolutely. You've got Tevin Mack in the boys' game, too, from Dreher going to VCU. You would have had, I guess, you would have had P.J. Dozier in the game had he not had the McDonald's game coming up on Wednesday?
Well, no. Actually, he could have played because he didn't have to be there this Sunday.
Okay.
But I think P.J. also selected to go to the Jordan Classic. If he did, so you can play in two.
Okay.
All-Star games. And that's the only reason I can see him not playing in this is if he was going to the Jordan Classic up in Brooklyn, which is the week after Easter, or if he was going to go up to Louisville to the Derby Classic, which are bigger name type events. But what we've been able to do with this field is we're starting to build a name for ourselves. We're starting to keep some kids to say, if you get a McDonald's, then, you know, you're coming here. For instance, like the Hicks kid at North Carolina, you know, a couple of years ago.
Yes. Yes. All right. So tomorrow night, you've got the slam dunk and three-point contest, which is always interesting, the three-point contest, because at the end, you take the boys' winner, you take the girls' winner, you pair them, and you let them go head-to-head. More often than not, the girl comes away the winner.
Hey, let me tell you something. The girls are better free throw shooters and better three-point shooters.
Well, do they use the same ball, or the girl use the girl's ball and the guy uses
the guy's ball?
Guy's ball.
Yeah, you're right. There's a little bit of difference in the size of the ball, but it's still a 10-foot goal.
Yeah.
Do you have any girl this year? In the past, you've had a girl or two try to dunk. You got anybody in that category?
No, we don't have anybody this year. I checked with them today, and the coaches said they did not have a girl on either team that would be trying to rise to the heights of dunking.
Okay.
But I tell you, I'm telling you right now, we got some pretty good boys in here that's dunking.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I am really excited about that because the young man from Spring Valley that won the slam dunk contest for the beach ball, Malik Dunbar, will be in the slam dunk. And yeah, and I'm surprised. Have you heard anything on Malik if who is offering him?
I have not. I'll try and find out tomorrow when I get down there.
Yeah, I mean, because he's a good player. I mean, you know, he's got some size on him. He's 6'5", and you know, he's really a pretty daggone nice player. I would assume that at least somebody in the Division would be looking at it, whether it's a small Division I team or what. I have to be critical of this. Of course, you know me, I'm very outspoken when I think about something, but I think that a lot of our Division I schools that are lower Division I schools, the assistant coaches and the coaches still have in mind that they're going to get a top 100 player. It's not going to happen. Let's look at the local kids in our state that are good ball players that can help out a good program and can really take them to the next level, that take them in their conference and help them win a conference tournament or win the conference championship. I just think we need to pay more attention to what is in our state when you're on that level than what's out in Florida or Maryland or Kentucky or wherever.
Yep. Mr. Mayor, we thank you, sir. Look forward to being there with you tomorrow night at Myrtle Beach High School. The slam dunk and three-point contest gets underway at 7 o'clock. It's only a $5 ticket. We'll see you there. Be right back. Okay, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Thanks again to the mayor, John Rhodes, from Myrtle Beach, for being with us tomorrow night. We'll be broadcasting from Myrtle Beach High School with the all-star activities going on, the slam dunk, the three-point shooting contest. They'll be in the gym. We'll be in the lobby. Tried that one year doing the show inside the gym.
Not good.
Too loud. Yeah, it was too loud, all the noise and everything. So we will be outside where it's a little quieter, but we'll talk to the South Carolina head coaches of the teams and maybe grab a player or two, and look forward to being there for that. Of course, you got USC women playing tomorrow night in Greensboro. We'll head up there. Should the Gamecocks win, we'll head up there Sunday to cover that in the Elite Eight, see if they can get on to the Final Four, see if Dawn Staley – I did not know the story about as K-Mac brought up last night. I'd forgotten the story about the Christmas tree. Didn't realize that thing was still part of what they're doing. The fact that she's left her Christmas tree on. Wonder what her neighbors think of that. If they don't know it's Dawn Staley's house and they ride by there and they look this Christmas tree lights on, they're like, will somebody please tell that person that you're not supposed to let your Christmas tree see the new year? Isn't that the saying, you don't let the Christmas tree see the new year?
I don't know.
I mean, I never let one of mine see the new year. Of course, I've never had a Christmas tree in my life.
I believe it's generally understood as some kind of bad luck, yes.
Speaking of not Christmas, Notre Dame walking the dog with Wichita State early, 20-7.
Which brings up the question, Pro. In your home, do you have a real Christmas tree or do you use one of the fake ones?
I use neither.
Oh, you don't do a Christmas tree?
I use my sister's Christmas tree.
Man, how about you? Do you go with the live tree or the fake? I don't.
Very,
I can't
very
hear you.
small.
Say what now?
The very small fake that you
Very
set.
small
You
fake.
set up in a little corner that's probably a foot tall. Yeah, I keep it
Well,
simple.
see, the deal is we always used our family always used a live tree because we like the smell, the cedar. But you got to be very careful. Cut that end off. Make sure there's water in the stand, because those things, and as you remember the sad story of Frank McGuire, those things are torches when they dry out and they have those lights on them. So you got to be very careful with a live tree.
Like I said, I've never had one, so I don't really worry about it, to be quite honest with you. It was just a thought as we were sitting here thinking about the fact that she still has her Christmas. Now, she must have she must have an artificial tree.
Yeah, because there's no way.
Any way you can keep a Christmas
No.
But wait a minute, it's an evergreen, right? The Christmas tree is an evergreen. If you keep it watered, would it not continue to live?
No, because you cut it. It's not that have its root system anymore. Yeah,
So that's just sticking it in water won't keep it alive?
No, that's just like a flower you cut.
What is Notre Dame doing here to Wichita State?
Just bringing the ball inside, shooting from outside corners. I said before, I look at the psychology of things. What team will be satisfied? I think Wichita State climbed the Kansas mountain, and they're still freaking out about that and not concentrating on the game at hand right now.
Does any team pass the ball better than Notre Dame, though, in getting the ball, making the next pass, and getting the ball to the open man? They're very good.
Duke.
Well, it's good to be back home. We've
All right, Pro, what's happening between Notre Dame and Wichita State?
Notre Dame had spread it out to a 20-8 lead, but Wichita State has scored the last 4, and they have the basketball, so they're getting back in. It just needed to get a cold slap in the face to figure that Notre Dame is going to be a tough out. I look for this game to go down to the wire.
Mm-hmm. All right. Of course, we've got 3 other games coming up. Great night. You know, the first 2 days of the tournament, always great, but the Sweet 16 round, especially the Thursday, Friday games, also very exciting and little more intense. Well, they're all intense, but I mean, now you're at that level where you've got a chance. You can smell it now. You know, you want to get through and survive those first 2 rounds, but when you get to the Sweet 16, it's sort of like you can taste the Final Four.
Exactly.
If you can get by a couple more. So, all right, we turn our attention to baseball, and the Clemson Tigers have all of a sudden gotten very hot. Great weekend up at Virginia Tech last weekend, winning that ACC series, and then going up the mountain to Western Carolina and applying a beatdown on the Catamounts, the program that Jack Leggett built many moons ago. Took it out on them as the coach joins us here on Sports Talk. You had no pity on your former team the other night.
Phil, we owed them. It's been tough. It's been tough playing out there. They always play us tough. We got a good ball club, and you know they hit us on a good night. We hit the ball really well that night, and we pitched well and played good defense. Did everything the way we should have. We've been playing a lot better lately, and came off a pretty good weekend at Virginia Tech, and so hopefully we're moving in the direction we want to be, and got a big weekend this weekend against Wake Forest, and hopefully we can get ourselves where we need to be in the conference by the end of Sunday. How
dominant has Matthew Crownover been in your eyes? I mean, you've had some great Friday night pitchers over the years. Is he ranking right up there among the best with the way he's pitching for you?
Well, he's really pitching good, and he's just so focused and locked in, and goes about his business in a workmanlike fashion. That, you know, it's not like he's got tremendous stuff. He knows how to pitch, and he's got a good fastball, knows how to locate it, and he's got his other 2 pitches. You know, he knows when to use them at the right time, and he and Pep work well together, and Oki, all 3 of them work well together. So he's been – everything that's happened to him so far, he's worked hard and deserved it.
Now, offensively, like you said, you're starting to hit the ball a lot better. Took it out, continues to swing a hot bat, a .413 average. Any chance he gets back into the field at some point in time, or are you resigned to the fact that he'll be strictly a DH all year?
No, I don't think that's the case, hopefully, but he's not quite there yet with his arm. And he worked hard in the last 3 days on it, and so it's a little tired today, and I'm sure it'll be a little off tomorrow, you know. And but he's been swinging the bat really well. He helps us in a lot of different ways on the bench, and he helps us, you know, obviously as a DH. Love to have him on the field. Do miss that presence out there, but right now he's, you know, just not quite ready to do the things you have to do at second base or shortstop. You know, make that big throw, make the big throw from the hole, or turn a double play. Really like he needed to be done. So he's getting closer, though, and he's making some progress. He's working extremely hard.
So when he is ready, you want him back in the infield?
Oh, I'd love to have him back in the infield. You know, and you know, although we have been playing pretty well, Eli White's played well, and Chase Pender, for a freshman, has played very well and getting better every game. So it's not like, you know, that's a deficiency for us on defense, and we got to get him in the field. It's just his leadership, his presence, his the way he goes about his business, the way he competes is just important to our team. And so it's something we've been missing, but at the same time, those kids are playing well. Eli's playing well, and Chase is playing good, and so it's not something where you know, it's a huge deficiency and we got to get somebody on the field. We're going to go crash and burn. That's not the case at all. Those guys are playing well and doing a good job for us. But just his presence is kind of what we miss on the field, I think.
Talking with Clemson baseball coach Jack Leggett, what about first base this weekend? Will it be Wharton again, or do you get Cox back at some point?
Good question. All three guys have, played pretty good for us. Wharton, has done a nice job. We've given him an opportunity the other night and got a couple of hits. And every time he's gotten in the game, he's hit the ball aggressive, swung the bat aggressively and gotten hit. It seems like he's, improved more and more at first base. We've been working him. So maybe we give him some opportunities this weekend. Andrew Cox sprained his ankle a few days back. And, it's just one of those things where, he's coming off and feeling a little bit better right now. But also Glenn Batson's been playing pretty well over there defensively and got some big hits for us as well. So I got a choice between three guys, and I think about it tonight, figure out what we're going to do tomorrow. But all three of them are in the mix for us tomorrow.
All right, this Wake Forest team, not bad, 17-10, 4-5 in the league.
Yeah.
They've won a couple of games this week, and they're coming off a 1-2 series against Miami, but they did win that Sunday game. What concerns you about them? I guess you're going to see the right-hander Pirro on Friday night. He's got good numbers, 5-1, 3.26.
Yeah, he's going to be tough to solve. We've got to be on our game offensively, but the thing that's and they've got a really good relief pitcher late in the ball game, so we've got to try to avoid him if we can. But they've got a good offense, very strong offensive team. They've hit 32 home runs up to this point, and their third baseman, Will Craig, is a very, very dangerous hitter, right-handed hitter with some very loose hands. So he's going to be one guy we want to try to avoid hurting us. And but their offensive lineup from top to bottom is probably as good as we've seen.
Well, you've got a 10-game homestand now cranking up. You've got this weekend, you got Furman and PC. Then North Carolina next weekend, followed by Georgia, Charleston Southern. If you can take care of your business at home over the next 10 games, you've got a chance to really bolster your record and get you rolling here heading into the second half of the season.
Yeah, this is a very big stretch for us. These next 10, 15 games is very important for us. And we need to come out and play well this weekend, get some momentum going. And into next week, I think we have 3 weeks in a row where we play Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that whole thing. So we, are going to test our pitching, and it's going to test our, our ability to be consistent during that time. If we get on a roll, it can be really helpful to us and get us in a good spot. We still have our own fate in our own hands, and we don't have to rely on anybody else. It's just, something we've got to take care of. And I like the way we're starting to play better and a little bit more confidence, and so hopefully we can take that on into the weekend here.
You still have Kerner and Irwin penciled in Saturday, Sunday?
Yes, yeah, we'll go with Brody on Saturday and Zach Irwin on Sunday, and they both have been pitching pretty well for us.
Coach, as always, we thank you for the visit. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next week if we can catch up with you.
We will. Sounds good, Joe. Appreciate the call.
Yes, Jack. Thank you very much. All right, Coach Jack Leggett from Clemson. So a big stretch coming up for the Tigers. 10 home games. You got to have that kind of season with this stretch pro, you're going to win. You got to go 8-2, 7-3, no worse than that. Take 2 out of 3 in these weekend series in league play. Get yourself going again in league play. Build yourself a little cushion in league play. Both of these teams are 4-5. If Clemson can take you can't really say any more sweep teams because everybody's got a pitcher that can beat you, so it seems.
Yeah.
So you take 2 out of 3. That would give you an 8-7 league record at the halfway point, and then you go from there.
Well, I've always said if you can win Friday and Saturday, then you greedy.
Yeah.
And then go for that Sunday win. I really did predict that Clemson would sweep Virginia Tech. It was close. They almost had it. But you're right. They have to make some hay, I think, from a psychological standpoint as well, because I think this team is a good team. It's just for whatever reason they catch a bad break or they have one bad inning. I think the key now is to shore up that Saturday and that Sunday pitching slot, and then they'll be ready to take off because they don't have to worry about Friday.
Well, the problem is, you say shore it up. It hasn't been all that bad, but the problem is the Friday night guy has just been lights out.
Yes.
I mean, he's 4-0 with a 1.09. Everything else is going to pale in comparison. Kerner is 3-2. Now, his ERA is very high, 5.34. Irwin hasn't been that bad. The record's not good, 1-3, but the ERA is 3.47. That's not horrendous. But Crownover, my goodness, he's just been practically unhittable to this point. More baseball coming up, Gamecock style.
Well, it's good to be back home. We've seems like we've been on the road a while. I'm going to be on the road a little bit more following this weekend, but
All right, Notre Dame up 7 on Wichita State, 29-22, 4.5 to play in the half. And North Carolina, Wisconsin just underway. So double barrel basketball action. We continue, however, on the baseball front here on Sports Talk. Just heard from Jack Leggett. Turn our attention now to the Gamecocks. They've got Georgia coming in. Georgia's 16-10, 3-3 in the league. USC 18-7, 4-2 in league play. Jared Walsh is 3-0, a left-hander. He'll start for Georgia, 0.96 on the ERA. Ryan Lawler will start Saturday, 3-3, 2.84. Crow and Winecoop for South Carolina, undecided on the Sunday starter. Gamecocks in a bit of a funk right now. They've lost several close ones, but in baseball it doesn't matter if it's close or not. It's still a loss. They return home after going down to Coastal Carolina, and before that going out to Missouri. And Chad Holbrook looking forward to being back in the friendly confine.
Well, it's good to be back home. We've seems like we've been on the road a while. I'm going to be on the road a little bit more following this weekend, but it's always an exciting time to play a conference series at home against Georgia, and they have a nice-looking team and won some big games, and kind of they handled adversity in their own right after the first SEC weekend, and got themselves back in the thick of things. And we're obviously going to have our work cut out for us in dealing with their, Jared Walsh tomorrow night and Lawler on Saturday, and they're going to present some challenges to our pitching staff as well. They're very aggressive on the bases. They've stolen 38 bags. Two of the kids have over in double-digit stolen bases. So we're going to have to be at the top of our game from a pitching standpoint. We're going to have to be much more competitive offensively to win this series. And but we're excited about another Friday night at Carolina Stadium against a team that's going to present a great challenge for us.
You said, you're 1-4, but a lot of close games, a lot of one-run games. You had really good pitching in spots. You had some really good hitting in spots, but you just come up a little bit shy. What do you think this team needs to do maybe to kind of reverse that trend and kind of get back to where they were?
Well, I obviously coming off the weekend at Missouri, I'd love to have won the series, and we could have won all three games. We could have lost all three games. I have no problem with the way our players competed and played. We were hit away here or there, play away here or there from, doing a little bit better than we did. That being said, Missouri was a good, solid team, and with great pitching staff that's going to, they're going to be in the thick of things for a while because their pitchers are so good. At Coastal on Tuesday, I like the way our players, handled adversity there. And when we gave up a 5-run inning, we're down 6-2 and fought back and took the lead. We just couldn't hold on, couldn't make a pitch here or there or a play here or there to win the game. We had the walks kind of got us there, and we didn't feel to play on a bunt defense that could have minimized the damage there in that 5-run inning they had. So it's a when you go 1-4 and a little bit of a stretch, there's accumulation. It's not just one thing. It's you got to make some defensive plays. You got to make can't give your opponent free 90s, which we've given a few of those with via the walk, and then when you get close, when you're 3 outs away here or there, and you have a chance to win the game, you got to try to close the door. And we couldn't quite close the door a couple of times over the last week. But, we're sitting here, we're 4-2 in the league, and with some incredible challenges and a lot of baseball to be played. So if we continue to play well, play the way we're capable of, we can put ourselves in a good spot.
I see your TBA for Sunday starter, and I know Taylor scuffled a little bit at the back end of the games. Is there a chance he could go to Sunday, or what's your thought process on those two spots?
Well, it's the same as when we did the TBA, last weekend or so, or a couple weekends ago. We just all hands got to be on deck Friday and Saturday, and we need again an extra inning game, which we've been playing a lot of those lately, and we have to go to Clark Schmidt in an extra inning game on Saturday. We'll do it. And we just got to try to win. We just got to try to win. If we have an opportunity to win and go to one of our guys, that's what we're going to do. It's not if Clark doesn't pitch, Friday or Saturday, then he'll be the Sunday starter. So it's I don't think it's really fair to us to name him as a starter and then all of a sudden use him. I don't think that's the proper way to do it. So we'll just TBA it and he'll know that he's available the first two games, and if we need him, we'll use him.
All right, there you go. Chad Holbrook, Georgia. They don't have their number 1 and number 3 starters right now,
Wow.
out with injuries. Yeah, the number one starter is Robert Tyler. He's 1-0, 3.86. He's got a forearm strain. Number 3 starter is David Sosby, 2-1, 1.80. He's out with a back injury, so they've had to make some adjustments with Walsh. Now their number one guy. We'll be right back. All right, let's update the hoops. It's Wisconsin up on the Tar Heels 6-4. You think Frank Kaminsky should be the number one pick in the draft? I mean, is there anybody more
polished?
I was going to say Larry Bird-like in terms of big guy who truly can shoot the three, has great passing skills, big to go inside. I mean, what do you think?
No, I'd still lean toward Okafor, Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns, probably he and Kaminsky are the more versatile. But for whatever reason, if you want to go back to the future and have a true big back to the basket guy inside, you got to go with Okafor.
Notre Dame 33-25. They've led the whole way. A minute 27 to go in the half there. All right, we've had a very busy show, and appreciate everyone that's come on board. John Roach, Jack Leggett, Chad Holbrook, Steve Spurrier, Dexter Weidman. Dexter, go to class.
Please.
You have been warned.
You have been. And I mean, he means this.
Yeah, I've never heard him call out a player at the start of a post-practice interview session like that, because he came over on Saturday to point out that he was mistaken in saying that Weidman had missed class the previous time. It wasn't his fault, he said.
Right.
He had been in the weight room. They'd held him over in the weight room. He had tutoring. He was just tardy for the class. So he wanted to make that clear. And everybody said, okay, that's good. Okay. But now he came over, and just based on the tone of his voice, he sounded pretty pissed about it.
Well, I think he was. But here's where I feel.
In fact, Steak Man, don't we have a one-word summation of what Spurrier thinks about Dexter Weidman? Huh? Oh,
no.
Man.
He's not doing it.
I want it. I demand it.
Yeah, but you should have told him that during the commercial break.
I should have. That's bad on my part.
But I will say.
See, I like the producer has to think ahead.
Think like
not
me. On that. Because if he does that, he'll say, well, why did you miss on? So I was thinking ahead because I thought maybe you wanted this. There's no way you can win. By the way, the first four Tar Heel points were scored by Bryce Johnson on fast break dunks. But I was getting back to it. Look, Phil, here's a guy that committed to Florida State. South Carolina knew he probably wanted to stay at home. They worked him. They encouraged him to get his academics straight. And he has worked his way into getting here. And now you blow your chance. That's what I think. That's what ticks him off when the door is open for tremendous opportunity, and you stand there and won't walk through it.
Yeah.
That's the thing that.
And
really
again,
ticks him off.
he's been in school since January. He was a mid-year guy. Been in school since January. So half of January, February, about 2.5 months in, and you're getting called on the carpet for missing classes. That ain't good, and it doesn't bode well for your time at South Carolina if that continues. All right, tomorrow night from Myrtle Beach High School, Carolina's All-Star Classic. Look forward to that and everything else we'll have for you. Thank you, Pro. Thank you, Steak Man. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.